Hello, Rebel. G-Man 5B. It's me, your recap of Chug Man Milk, for week 1 of the game week. And I'm joined today, again, by my lovely co-host, Dr. Hep.
Hello.
Now, your first week of Rebel, well, at least for this season. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves and had a fruitful game, a fruitful week, and, all that sort of nonsense. For some teams, looking at results in a cursory glance, yes, touchdowns were scored. Looking at the match reports for some teams, damage was done. So let's get into it straight away. We start out the week with Zarat and Hounds of Nagash fighting out for a 0-0 draw. That's the Skaven and the Undead. And this is the new Skaven team. This is the Skaven team that's joined us because we lost our previous Skaven coach. So, not a bad result to start with, 0-0. You get a point on the board. MVPs are in places they'd want them.
The Skaven team, just to mention his build, it's 2 Stonewomen, 4 Gutrunners, and a throw and just thrust linemen. So it's just a basic Skaven team.
Yeah, that's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. It's conventional and I think works. And looking actually, if we look at the statistics page, apparently the Skaven were the killier ones with 2 injuries inflicted compared to the 0 injuries inflicted by the Undead, which is not something you really expect.
I expected maybe that the Undead will be the punchy, not the pun. Yeah, the puncher, not the punchy.
Yeah.
So to say.
This game probably deserves a bit more further scrutinization, just because a Skaven game very rarely ends up like a low-scoring affair unless the Skaven kind of get punched off the pitch. But for this to have been a 0-0, I definitely want to sort of check that out at some point in my own time. Unfortunately, just as a disclaimer to the entirety of the league or the division, Dr. Hep definitely has a lot of notes on some of these games. I myself kind of have had a really busy week. I have a tabletop tournament on Saturday that I've been preparing for. So I've only had a sort of cursory glance at a few of these, but definitely would like to look at that one in more detail. The second game on the board is the Demon Llamas lost 1-0 to Nomentano Athletics.
Yes.
Which is a human and high elf match.
Yeah. And the animals, Demon LeBlancs, they went. I think they did an okay game. It wasn't too eventful, I believe.
From the looks of it, it was a little bit in terms of damage on the high elf side. It was they did a little bit more, but it's marginal. It's 1 extra KO, one human died. In a battle of 8 armor, when there's not a lot of mighty blow, that happens. To be fair.
Yeah, that happens, and I mean, Animal kind of came out ahead on that one, even though the elf won, because Animal now got himself a elf. Ezio rolled an Agile.
Well, that's a fantastic. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you might lose the first game, but if you get something out of it, then you will be like, fair enough. Really, it'd be horrible to.
The unfortunate part for him is that he lost his Mighty Blow Blitzer. Mighty Blow God Blitzer.
Oh no, that's horrible. Okay, that's really bad.
So
that...
he kind of paid for that.
Yeah, he paid the iron price.
He paid the iron price for it.
To be fair, I would probably want the guard Mighty Blow Blitzer over the Adjup. I think the Adjup piece is good, but it's like a relative, what's the word, luxury. Yeah.
But with that Agi 3 human thrower with accurate, and then an Agi 4 catcher, he can actually pull some really cool plays.
Yeah, he has although I think that the human coach will want to for the next 11 weeks that he has of the division.
The blitzers.
Yeah, he wants to score with the blitzers, but if his objective is I'm going to try and win and try and get to like a playoff place, then that will really help him, and that'll be a massive help against like lizards and orcs, where it's very easy just to get like shut out.
Yep, definitely.
Speaking of paying the iron price, the next game was Jesteruni versus Path of Blood Bowl. So that's Drastak and Mago, and oh boy, Mago didn't have a good game week this week in terms of surviving his opponent.
So the bounty were on his wolf voice, not on the other players.
And pretty much everything else apart from the wolves died. We lost a white, a flesh golem, and I think just a zombie.
So 3 dead, 4 casualties from 47 blocks.
Which is like, when you consider, Mago has regen, and regen just didn't fire at any of those times. And also, I think the only instance of Mighty Blow on the team for the lizards will be the Croxagore. That's still insane. Like, unless the Croxagore got all of those injuries, that is very much a silly game of Blood Bowl.
Very much so. And to be fair, it feels like the Necro should be at an advantage here because he got Claw already.
Yeah, he has the Claw Mighty Blow, so the fact that if you look at the statistics, he only injured one like something is very, very, it's not great. He'll be very unhappy with that. But to be fair, with 21 blocks exceeded, what it looks like is at a point just his entire team kind of crumbled, and like the rest of the game was just the Saurus could just get 2 dies and he couldn't do much about that.
I believe because it was the random sources that leveled up as well.
Yeah.
And a skink that probably scored a bunch.
Yeah, so it's not like one. It's not like just like the Croxagore beat the living daylights out of them. It was just random Kazas, which is
random Kazas.
Really unfortunate for Mago. The good news is that he has money in the bank from which I assume is going to be a ghoul, and now he's enough for a flesh golem or a white. So the rebuilding starts now. He'll either have 2 whites or 2 flesh golems. I would say probably 2 flesh golems is better for the next game. The white is unfortunate, but you do have 2 wolves in line, so he'll manage. But the fact is, he's a long way off getting a bench, which is always going to be sad. But Mighty Blow might kick in.
Yeah, what can you do?
Next
game.
Next game, yeah. Saucy Pigs versus the Baltigore Ravens. That's a 2-1. I believe that's Orcs versus the Dark Elves.
Yep. I watched that one a bit more closely.
Okay.
Because since we actually got some heads up that there were going to be some orcs doing elf bullshit and some other stuff, and I just skimmed through it basically, and turn 10 Boulderbot did a score where Benny already had scored on his drive, and then on turn 16 the orcs basically were stretched out thinly in an L formation, sort of.
Yeah.
He sort of handed it off and successfully, after a reroll, made a score.
Well, you always like to see the orc sort of elf passing or hand off play.
I mean 3 pluses isn't that hard to make.
They're terrifying though when like you're a free edge team. To be fair, it always seems to go wrong. Sure. I mean, I hates them. Yeah, I even like 2-player. I mean, I from my game in my other division, all I need to do is make a 2+ with a reroll, and I just snake that. So the fact that happened for the orcs is fortuitous, and also a great amount of elf bullshit, I'm sure. But we say elf bullshit orcs, they did inflict 5 KOs and 2 injuries.
Yeah, it kind of was on the brutal side.
It was brutal. So when orcs remove all the other players on the pitch, they're very much able to do that elf stuff. And with 4 wake ups and 6 fails, I think the Dark Elf coach was definitely probably down quite a bit. which explains the classic 2-1 grind that we see here, I think.
Yeah, very much so. And it wasn't. I believe that maybe the Dark Elf coach was outpositioned a tiny bit by dice sometimes, because I saw that the Elf coach did some dodges and then, oh snap, I had to use my team reroll. Oh snap, I had to use a dodge here as well, and then it failed sometimes, I believe. So
Yeah, I do find like Dark Elves, they're a bit they're decently fast, but they're not the fastest. So this can happen to them quite a bit. And
versus orcs who like to base you, that's kind of scary.
yeah, there is no margin for error. You really have to be.
Because if they base you, they start punching, and eventually even a 88 will crack.
Definitely, and also if you don't have any built-in dodge, then every dodge should still be scary, even if you're elves. A lot of people will see elves when they just make all those 2+ and be like, oh, fantastic, but then if that goes wrong at all.
Yeah, but then they haven't played elves, so they don't realize how many 2+s you can do until you fail one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They just see the positive side of it, not the negative side.
And elfing is hard. It's not an easy feat by any means.
Yep.
So the next game is also a bit of a surprise because we said Season 1 Nurgle, horrible experience, but Season 1 Nurgle came in clutch against the Dark Elves. A little bit more of an equal game in terms of bashing, because 11 to 15 armor breaks, significant, I think. Significant compared to the sort of one-sided bash fest we saw with the previous Dark Elf game just now. But the Nurgle came away with a 2-1 win rather. 2-1 win, which is kind of a fantastic achievement for them. You look at the dice and 55 KOs inflicted. No, it's like 5 KOs inflicted with 45 blocks. Pretty good. That's good. That's good. And if they stayed out, which let's check the dice rolls. Yeah, they did. They stayed out quite a bit. It was 3-4 in terms of success and failure, which was probably quite fortuitous for the Nurgle coach. But we should point out 11 armor breaks to 25 blocks succeeded, unless the Dark Elf coach was like fouling a lot, which, you know, with no expulsions, it doesn't suggest that was happening. 25 blocks, 11 armor breaks. That's fantastically on the above on the curve, but it didn't translate to like anything like a dead rotter or anything.
Yeah, I checked over both the Nurgle team and the Dark Elf team.
Yeah.
For a few new skills, and apparently the Nurgle team only got a claw on the pesticle.
Well, when we come to like the talking about the teams in just a bit, I'll make a comment on that because that I have a lot to say on that. So,
and I just want to mention as well that the Dark Elf team got 2 gods.
No,
And a wrestle.
well,
So, stuff happened.
yeah. If you're out there, Dark Elf coach, listen. There's a very naughty man called Andy Darvo who will get you to sell you. He will try and get you to sell your guard pieces to him. Do not take it. He's just using you for your guard. But that's good. Yeah, absolutely. They need guard really badly. The Dark Elves to be like.
Any elf coach with guard, they are cheaters.
Cheaters, absolutely cheaters.
If you believe that Agi 5 bullshit is funny, God elf bullshit is more funny.
It is, yeah, absolutely. It makes the Dark Elf team way more effective at their niche. While Wood Elves are like fantastic at just being elves, Dark Elves kind of like try to play a human bashing game, and without the guard though, they kind of don't do it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is also a fantastic result for the next game.
Very much so.
Yeah, amazing. 4-0 for T's Humans versus the Green Raiders, the Orc team.
Yeah.
Orc versus Humans is a horrible matchup for the Humans.
It is.
I think like it's usually the matchup for like how Games Workshop advertises the game, but I've come to this conclusion that the way that they put together the box sets for for Blood Bowl, which is like, oh, we only give you 2 Black Orcs, and that's what you play with.
Yep.
That's, I think, the only way human coach is going to have an easy time against the orc, because otherwise, any normal sane build is just, they're always constantly outmanned, in my opinion. T, who is a veteran human coach and obviously a good player, might disagree and say, oh, actually, I think the matchup isn't so bad. We'll wait for his comment once this video goes up.
Yeah. But I believe this was a show of experience, to be honest. I've heard rumors that the orc coach came from college.
Yeah.
And was brave enough to skip minors and just head straight up for the big guys. And went in with us.
Which can be very fruitful, because to be fair, I didn't do minors or college. I went straight in playing Underworld in my first season. To be fair, I had like 2 seasons of another private league, and I had been doing a bit of CCL to practice, but I didn't. I think it definitely can either pay off, or a baptism by fire. It really helps out and makes the coach better.
It
so
helps out some players, and some players will just end up crumbling from the pressure.
yeah, that is true. Like a lot.
It is all personal, basically.
Completely agree. But I think what might have also made a little bit of difference, apart from T being a good player, knowing his positions, etc., is he did inflict 3 KOs and 3 injuries. And if we look at like the wake up after KOs, it's 50%. But in orcs can really hate going down players to like a massive degree. And if the humans like manage to keep about 10 or 11 compared to their 9 or 10, the advantage that the orcs have in strength it shoots down, and also like the positioning that the humans can get because of their speed is just way better.
It kind of is a snowball effect versus orcs. If you can get some black orcs out or KO'd just, or like some blitzes out, all of a sudden the orcs are struggling.
Yeah, definitely. Because like
that's basically all the control teams downside, I guess.
Yeah.
Orcs, in general, they are a control team, but early they are a bash team.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely, I do think that. Although I think that the kind of the orc matchup, like if you have 2 coaches of let's say a similar, even skill, similar skill, or even like a little bit of disparity, it can even be like the orc coach is slightly newer than the human coach.
Yep.
A lot of the time,
the orcs have a favored matchup.
Yeah, it's just because like an orc can go quite base all men's and just force either 1 dices or dodges away, and just a human team, unless they're quite fortunate, can crumble really easily. And all that needs to happen for that to happen is just 1 lapse of concentration. But I think T probably managed to keep that sense of concentration up the entire match, which, in addition to having decent injury dice from his mighty blow, probably carry the day here.
Yeah, he probably did.
So well done, T.
Yep.
Fantastic result for you. And then we come to a very special game. Last game.
Mine.
Your game. So talk about it.
Yeah, it was a good game in general, I would say. As you can see, it went 2-2.
Yeah.
Kind of funny though. In the halftime, we were 0-0.
Okay.
So I tried to 2-turn his ass because I wanted to win. Turned out that he was good enough to stop it, and it became a 3-turn. Then he plowed through me, basically 2-turned my ass by just shoving my team aside and I'm getting through. And then he scored. I had enough time to do another 2-turn. But back on him, and then he had, well, I believe he had 2 turns left, and I had 1 turn, right? Yeah. Turn 15, 16, and I had turn 16 left. He basically went for like, I'm gonna 2-turn your ass as Brett's, and I know it's possible. It's not that hard because of catch and everything.
Yeah.
But he failed a bit of a safety setup for me, so I got I actually hit the ball, took the ball on turn 16, was really proud that I'm gonna win my first game 2-1. Tried to punt it over a peasant or over a player, and guess what? A fucking 6+ happened.
Classic.
Yeah,
Classic.
he just intercepted the damn ball, ran it down, passed it along, and scored, and it became 2-2.
That sounds like a bit of a mad game.
It was a funny game, but when you have a blitzer that is niggled and you suspect him, because he's blodge, that you suspect him that he's gonna survive at least 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Niggled, yeah, he survived 2 turns.
Eh?
Then was dead.
At least you don't have to fire. At least you didn't have to like fire him. At least he just went the natural way.
Yeah, he went in a natural way. It just sucks now because I can't buy a new one.
Well, your catcher seems to be coming along nicely. You have that one catcher. You got the MVP.
Yeah.
He'll be fantastic.
Oh yeah, the strength full one will surely make good use.
Definitely. So you still, Pro Elves.
I'm still in a good spot. I can still survive this. This isn't over yet.
Yeah, and it seems like also decent SPP pickup. You passed 5 times, and
It was kind of funny to say in the Pro Elf team Discord for the race to like, yeah, I'm gonna give up 200k inducement, but I still have 4 loners.
uh-oh.
How does that work?
Yeah, your team is looking.
It's kind of bloaty.
It is bloaty, as all elves are, but that's a decent result. I would take I'd take a 2-2 first game, because they're always just like first game nerves, and you want to get off to a decent start. And yeah, 2-1 would have been best, but
You can't win when people roll 6+s.
very true. That's a Blood Bowl motto. Well, that was the games for this week. We will, after we look at the teams and see how like they've developed in the last week or so, look at the next week briefly. But we're going to go to the teams now. We're going to start off with our 4-0 victor, the Richest T.
Yep.
Let's see how he's developed. Okay, so the first thing that stands out immediately, I think, is
The niggled blitzer, Mighty Blow blitzer is gone.
good. That's good. That's a good pickup.
He probably got removed or he fired it, because I can't even see it on the name list anymore.
Yeah, I can't. No, it's now replaced with Bill Jr. I can't tell if
Exactly.
the game. Did that game? No, that game had no depth. He just fired it, I think, and then bought it straight up.
Yeah, and he picked up another guard, which is always good.
Yeah, see, 2 guard, 1 mighty blow. Move up is because a move up killer is fantastic. Some people would have taken piling on just like
are scary.
yeah.
They're more scary than people believe, because he can literally swing around the pitch right now from one side to the other and kill a target on the other side, kinda easily.
Definitely.
He's scary.
And the another thing to note is, once again, thank God, the catcher isn't like leveling. The catcher isn't getting any touchdowns. It seems to be always the blitzers or
Yeah.
did the thrower last week have dodge? I can't quite remember.
He does.
Okay, so it's just the blitzers that developed, which is fantastic. You love to see that. This team is coming along quite well. The only thing that's missing now is it needs a bench, but that'll be the next thing to get. Now the blitzers, but wow, well done. The Richest T, well done. A good, efficient team. Can't wait to see what you pick with Bill Jr. I would have picked probably guard, because I like 3 guard, 1 mighty blow. But he might go 2 mighty blow. You never know. He's got 3 guard on the team anyway now. He's got to move up, kill a blitzer. This team is looking nice and juicy.
Very much so.
Let's look at Falcon Mercs. Oh, Malcolm
That was my
Ferks.
opponent.
Yeah.
So he did some good things, and that he scored twice on Shark Eater, I believe.
And he gave that frenzy.
No, that was he 2 touchdowns, yeah, and he gave that one frenzy. That's the only difference. His team.
A lot of Brett coaches are like doing this, where they're going like, you know, they get Mighty Blow obviously, and but
One Mighty Blow, one Agile Up, and one Frenzy.
yeah, I think Metal has the same thing going for him in his division. I think also Gerber, which is what is meta? I thought the meta was you obviously you pick up the doubles and the Agile when you can, but everything else just gets blodged and then becomes impossible to knock down.
Well, kind of, but like a Frenzy threat. I don't know if this is just because of Corn, but people have started picking up Frenzy like crazy lately.
I mean, I like it. Frenzy's nice. It's fun. It's fun Blood Bowl.
And then all of a sudden, when I stopped playing Norse, everybody like Frenzy crazy, and then when I played Norse, nobody thought that Frenzy was good. Everybody kept telling me Frenzy's bad. Watch out for Frenzy traps.
I don't know why people would like say that, because Frenzy's fantastic. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a fun skill.
Yeah, it's really fun. So I don't mind Frenzy on that Blitzo at all. I still think Blodge is more important in the long run because just survivability, and also if you need pieces to get around the pitch a little bit easier, then I think the Dodge is probably better with a low reroll team like Brett's, even if you do have a leader online. But if that's the only real development, the team's still looking pretty solid as it was. He's still very light on the old peasants, which is going to buy him, I think.
Yeah. That's going to bite him in the ass at one point.
Definitely. So he needs to pick up those.
At the moment, feeding the MVPs to the blitzes might be a good thing for him. Just to get those blitzes going.
Well, he has also picked up some more SPP on the blockers, which I think is like, as much as the blitzers are kind of like the stars of your team, this is the lifeblood. You need that guard very soon. And now with all of them being in MVP range, yeah, the Brett's looking quite nice.
They do. They look good, and I'm kind of happy that I faced them early.
Yeah, they're gonna be a nightmare for other teams, especially elf teams in the future.
Yep, because they're gonna start pick up tackle and other shenanigans that hurt. Bretts are anti-elves, it seems like.
Yeah. And now we come to your team, though. Speaking of anti-elves,
my secondary thrower got a skill up, and my Niggle Blitzer died, as I said. My catcher got a skill up as well, and the lineman got hurt.
this team has like no lineos at all.
No.
No.
It's overrated apparently, and we are not allowed fancy things as block liners.
No, evidently not. But I mean,
the plan with the secondary thrower was to give him leader when he leveled.
Yeah.
But then a double appeared, and I think strong arm is funny. So
strong arm. I think strong arm's good because then you have when you have accurate, essentially an edge 6 thrower. But that does beg the question of, are you gonna get rid of the other thrower when you have the team do? Because you have two pieces that can carry the ball effectively and do stuff with it.
So this is my plan. I'm gonna give you a scope of what's happening.
Okay.
That I'm covered in my own videos. But the first thrower that got sure hands is my pickup thrower. He's gonna get everything to just run in within whatever stands next to him and pick up the damn ball and throw it out.
Okay.
And then the secondary, or like hand it off or whatever he's capable of. And then the secondary thrower is my backup thrower. That's gonna do the long throws. So one is for going in close and dangerous, and one is for standing back in the safety spot.
Yeah, you could also do things like the strong arm thrower is more for the 2 turns, while the sure hands one is for just normal play.
Exactly. But at the moment, playing with loners doesn't really allow me to pick and choose who's on the pitch. So
yeah, you're gonna have a tough week 2 until you get that extra blitzer back. You're gonna be really kind of struggling.
Yeah, but the funny part is now I'm up against Elves, and I really hope that he's up for a scoring game, because then maybe I can bring out the old 32 SPP game again.
Yeah, you definitely want like wrestle on the strength up catcher or something.
Yeah, or like make him even weirder.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, there's a guy in the league that I play in who has a strength 5 catcher, so that's what you're aiming for.
Yep, exactly.
Now we have to look at the Green Raiders with coached by Raziel Nosgoth.
Also, I just remembered, if you're as smart as me, do you have dual monitors?
I don't. I have one monitor.
Okay, good. Or bad for you, I guess.
Yeah.
I just have the last recap up, and I'm just continuing on, so I can see the previous teams as we go along.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, point that out then. Point that out. Fantastic. I'm glad one of us is like high tech, and the other one.
Yeah. So the old teams, this one in particular, nothing really happened. The only thing that happened is that the Blitz with movement got a MNG.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be sad he doesn't have one of his like faster pieces, but that's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, he didn't lose anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
He gained a lineman. He bought a third lineman, so now he has 3 linemen for the LOS line.
That's true. He will be going into next game with like 11 players still, so, and that's kind of the thing with Hawks is they can have as many players as they want. They never run out of money.
Yeah, and that's the good thing with them. Really, I would say.
Yeah, there's not much to say about this team apart from there's not much in terms of development. Just remember, Raziel, guard next. Get guard when you can. Yeah. Okay. Now we go on to just one more bite. The Dark Elf team, coached by Harrimal.
Which a lot happened.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it.
Because I'm gonna try to pronounce elf names. Watch me struggle. Situla Mantula got God. And the Thriodoxin got God. And Amatoxin got Wrestle. That's the stats that happen.
That's good. Well, the guard is amazing because that's how you can have a really good Dark Elf team without any guard. They have enough to them and to their play to survive the normals. You know, they're not like Kislev who needs doubles and stat-ups in certain areas to be really reaching their potential. But the guard helps them be like the bashy elves that they're touted to be.
Yeah, very much so. And I would suggest that the next pickup on alignment should be dodge.
Yeah, he does need a dodge piece that isn't the Witch Elf. I would agree.
Yeah, and picking up the wrestle on the lineman, I can see where it comes from, but I don't agree with it, I would say.
No, I think it's fairly uncontroversial. I'm okay with that. He does already have a tackle piece, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's not massively needed, but at the same time, it's like.
I would have rather seen dodge so he can pull some more elf play.
But then again, he might want. I don't hate it for the reason of sometimes you want to like take your LOS hits, but you don't want your blitzers on the line because then it just opens up for a blitz. And so I don't hate the idea at all. I quite like it. I would probably have, and I do in my lineman league team have a wrestle linesman because I do think that it just adds utility. I think wrestle on any linesman, pretty much in any team, is just quite nice. So I don't really hate that. But it's looking like quite a nice Dark Elf team now.
It does. I must say, I'm kind of jealous that he has kept all his players.
They're not dead.
They're not dead, which is kind of in favor of him.
It is. So even though he lost against Nurgle this week, the fact is this team is now looking fantastic for the rest of the season. It's best to get that game where it doesn't go your way out. So in the next few games, you're much more efficient.
Yeah, because I can see games going downhill as long as you came out alive and you gained some skills out of it and some levels.
Yeah, very true.
Especially for your first season, your priority shouldn't be winning. Your priority should be gaining that SPP for the team.
Yep, I wouldn't disagree, unless you're just really ultra competitive like me. Yeah. I would still do that.
Yeah, winning is always fun.
Okay, so let's look at the next Orc team.
Yeah, saucy pigs.
So, one.
So, do you want me to tell you the?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So troll happened.
Troll has happened.
Troll has happened. A guard on the blitzer have happened, and the rest of the linemen returned. That's about it.
No, it's looking like a better Orc team. We were kind of like, this Orc team doesn't look like anything yet.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden, because I believe he had scattered his SPP out a bit from the random punches and everything that he got and MVPs.
Yeah.
Now he kind of farmed them up and just been like, yeah, I got MVP, SPP over here. I got SPP over here. I'm close to getting SPP over here as well. And all of a sudden, all the stuff gains levels.
Yeah.
Basically, rise 200 TV.
In 2 games' time, this team will look like a whole different beast, which is one of the reasons I think we said in last recap, don't worry if your team doesn't look like amazing in the first game, especially with Orcs. It's like your team will explode at some point in SPP and level ups. Your team's already efficient as well at TV 2000. It's fine. It has obviously issues with Black Orcs, and you would prefer to have guard here and there for just when 3 strength has to kick in, but not only has he now started to get guard, he's also gone the troll. The troll is a controversial pick for some people. Some people don't like it. Some people say it's good at TV 1000. Others they say that you shouldn't really pick up at all, or pick up later is probably suboptimal. But at the same time, it is 5 strength. He will outmuscle almost every single opponent in the league, and with that extra bit of mighty blow, there's the potential for just a lot of damage against the elf teams or the human teams or any of those.
The only team I can see that can not struggle at all versus the troll in our division is at the moment the Nurgle and the Bretts.
I think the Lizards as well has a good
The
chance.
Lizards as well, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally forgot about those. But yeah, those 3 teams will do fine versus a troll. All the other teams will struggle versus a troll.
Speaking of the Lizards, let's go on to the Lizards now.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 3 level ups he hasn't done. He has told us about it though. He has told us what he's.
Well, yeah, told us. He have said basic stuff that one source will probably be get block or dodge or strength up.
Yeah, one of the.
One of them, and the other one is according to mood. Guard, mighty blow, break tackle, strength if it appears.
I would myself go guard. Just make them efficient. Make them a bash outfit. Going too fancy is probably not the order of the day. And if the skink rolls anything that's not a double, you have 170k. Consider getting rid of it. Probably. Yeah, maybe you can give it catch and just be like there for the 1 turner or the 2 turner.
Unless he gives it agile up, and I want to, because if he gives it agile up, I'm gonna bounty it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. If that goes agile up, that's being bountied. That's a certifiable. That is certifiable. Recapper assurance. We will kill that skink or get that skink killed if that gets an agile up.
My strength 4. I forgot to tell you. My strength 4 catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bountied.
Oh no.
It bounted. I set a bounty on from each team and right back at me my precious strength 4 catcher.
And that will die, by the way. It will die.
I know. I'm just.
But that Lizardman team is looking pretty alright. I wish we could talk about the actual skills, but I think he has quite a few choices.
Yeah, and he said that he usually don't want to spoil the level ups because he want to know what the other team has taken. So he's one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's
kinda hate.
Yeah, it's like the recappers will hate you, but fair enough if you want to play that game.
Because I understand him.
Yeah, I mean, I just pick for the next game week as soon as I know what I'm getting, unless like I get something that is so good that it just kind of like a double that I have to think about, in which case it doesn't factor in as much.
I often sneak peek what I get, then I ask in the Pro Elves chat and being like, yeah, this is my plan, what do you guys think about it? And they often say, yeah, you're a moron, fuck out, and I pick it anyway.
Well, just yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes the meta is there to be broken. To be
Yep,
honest.
exactly.
Uh,
Yep.
we're now moving on to the other human team, Demon Llamas.
Yeah. Where the unfortunate part that the Mighty Blow guard Blitzer died.
That sucks. So now the blitzers are all just
Yeah.
unleveled. Very sad. So, Animal, your objective is now to get some SPP on those guys.
Yeah. Be like Rich D.
100%. But
Become Rich D.
there is one thing to be said, which is his catcher is now a 4-edge block catcher.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good.
Which is great.
Obviously, you want the blitzers to be like an efficient unit. You don't want to have like fantastic catchers only at a certain point. But this catcher will win games by himself. His one-turners will be a lot more reliable. And also, if he ever has to score in a pinch, he has that opportunity. My only thing is, obviously, when you have a catcher like this, it's very, very tempting for a lot of coaches to lean on that, to the point that it becomes more of a detriment than actual help to the team. But as long as Animal can recognize this and make sure he doesn't go down that dark path of relying on the catcher, he'll be fine.
Yeah. It will be fine. But I believe we already see a kind of trend on his team where stuff die or get like serious stat broken stuff.
Yeah,
He
that
already lost an ogre, and that's why he was held back, I believe, in his cash default.
yeah,
Because
that
he's playing a 10-man team at the moment, not on a level map.
that really is the way of the
So,
humans.
yeah, so I'm feeling him throughout that he lost his. I could play in the early start stages.
That's true. On to the next team, which is House of Nagash by King Khan. He's the undead coach in our league.
Yeah,
This team hasn't changed at all, unfortunately.
nothing has changed.
I will once again just point out King Khan. I love Ross Kemp on Gang Fouls. I love that player. But there is no SPP. There is no like level ups. The SPP has fortunately landed on a mummy, so it's no longer Mr. T just sucking up all the MVPs.
Yeah,
So
which is good.
fantastic. Yeah, there's not much to say, unfortunately. We won't be ignoring this team, King Cam, because we don't like you. It's just that you have nothing. All I say is you're now 10k away from the extra ghoul. When you have the opportunity, get the ghoul. Get the ghoul.
Yeah.
Get the ghoul.
Exactly.
But as a 0-0, as with a 0-0, not much happened in that for that team.
Yeah.
But we can then move on to the disgusting High Elf team.
Yeah, which is even more disgusting now.
They picked up a movement on the thrower, which negates the one issue of the thrower, which is he's just really slow. Obviously, you'd probably want accurate really badly, just so you have that pseudo R5 as thrower. But the movement is like the next best thing apart from another edge up or an accurate.
So a question here.
Yeah.
For me, that's simple and dumb sometimes. A movement is a 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that he didn't roll a double, like a 5-5.
Yeah.
Roll a 4-6 or something. Otherwise, I would like to discuss with you a strong arm.
Strong arm would also, if he rolled a double, strong arm is pretty good. I would probably take it just so I could have a sick thrower that was like, again,
Yeah.
strong arm accurate down the line, and just vanity pass like every single.
Yeah, because we don't know what the dice rolls were, but if it was a double, I would suggest that he took the wrong pick. But movement can be good. Certainly can be.
I think this thrower is fun because this theory crafts a little bit. If he levels up and goes another double, he could go strong arm and be like the best thrower in the game. You know, he could do that, or he could pick up guard, or he could pick up any other skills. He could even pick up like mighty blow, and then you just like say he's an 8 armor piece, he's 7 movement now. He can just be another like effective blitzer, and you pick up a second thrower. I've seen people do that. It's not a terrible idea. The movement really opens up the thrower to be a lot more than just a thrower now, I think. Even if he rolled like a double the first time and he decided to pick movement over like a double, Some people criticise that quite heavily. Movement's fun though. It's not a terrible thing on like a quite slow elf team.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
the,
And he picked up a secondary capture after that.
which is fantastic. Yeah, that's good. He'll be happy
So,
that he picked that up.
yeah. The only issue I see with picking up the capture is that now he's on 0 cash. So if stuff starts to die, like let's say a 160k blitzer, that's probably very much foulable. Or a 120k thrower, that's very much foulable as well. Or the guard lineman, then all of a sudden he's missing very important pieces and he doesn't have the cash to replace them.
Yeah, I agree. And the issue with these catches is they don't have any protection. They don't have their dodge. They don't have their block. So although it's like catches are the easiest things to level in the game, and therefore you probably want to focus more on your blitzers. If there's one thing to say to Nabla Vector is get the touchdown on Celador, get the other catches from SPP.
Yeah.
You'll be really thankful for it in the end.
Exactly.
Now it's time to look at Mago's team.
Yeah, the death that happened.
Yep, one flesh golem left, one white left.
Yeah.
No bench for the foreseeable future. Can buy a flesh golem, and otherwise picked up nothing for that horrible game he had against Drastak.
I mean, at least he got his kick piece back.
Yeah, don't despair, Mego. Your werewolves are like worth the price of admission, and you have the money to immediately pick up a new flesh golem and just have pretty much still a pretty good necromantic team. You'll get inducements. Inducements can do a little bit of work for you. Werewolves are 8 movements. Like a wizard can still do wonders.
Very much so. And I would say even go as far as saying that people or play inducements or no, let's say star players as Greyhound or what's his face.
He could get Cheney. Yeah, I mean if he's significantly downhill, which probably isn't after the flesh golem buy, unless he's like playing someone like Drastak.
Yeah, or my team.
Or the
Bloat.
yeah, or the high elf team specifically. The high elf team will give a lot away. He'll have options, but
Yeah, he'll have options.
unfortunately his team
I
didn't
mean,
develop.
Zombie loners aren't the best, but they're still 3-2-8s.
Yeah, the only issue with the zombie,
2-8s.
the only issue with having the loners is just purely he can't foul now because he has no bench unless he picks up bribes in his inducements. That's a thing that Mago could realistically do is pick up bribes and foul, because if you score a death, then that joins your team and you just get a free piece. So it's kind of like the
Very much so.
inducement
So he
adds
can-
permanence.
Yeah, so he can basically build a team from our teams.
Exactly. So Mago, you could do that.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, let's look at the Baltimore Ravens. Boulder Plop
Yeah.
fortunately lost this week.
And he lost some players with it seems like.
He has an MG on the runner.
No, wait, did he just move them around?
I think he just moved them around, I think.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 players. Well, he gained 2.
Yeah, he picked up a witch.
Yeah, he picked up a witch and
Maybe. Okay, so first thing that immediately springs to mind, get rid of the niggled lineman, Bolter Plop. You don't need it. You don't want it. How much will that leave him? He'll leave 5. I know that might leave you for 10 players, and therefore you'd need a journeyman in the next game. A journeyman without a niggle is worth much more than a normal player with a niggle in terms of linesman, because that piece will get removed. It absolutely will. Get rid of it. Don't keep it.
it's AV7, and if it gets it's a target. Even if you put it on the LOS line, it doesn't help you, because on the pitch, if it gets removed on turn 1 from an LOS hit, it just sucks.
Exactly, and
And you're better off with a loner.
every single person that hits that they get a free Mighty Blow hit on that if they break armor. Someone has Mighty Blow, then that will change a KO single-handedly into a Kaz from a simple roll of 8. So
Yeah.
get rid of it. Just you don't need it. In terms of what you should do for the next match, carry on the Witch.
Yeah.
Vanity
Very
pass with the
much.
blitzers. Uh, the fact that he don't have anything on them, I understand because it was a loss. It was like it was a 2-1 against Orcs. So I understand where that comes from. Why you don't have the dodge this week? You didn't have the opportunity to vanity pass. Orcs can put so much pressure on, but
And one of the MVPs just happily fall on one of the blitzes. It seems like.
yeah,
So just vanity pass with him, and you have a level up blitzer. So I expect on the next week that we will see this team kind of bloat up a bit.
hopefully, yeah.
From gaining some SPP on those 3 blitzes that are really high up there in SPP, and the witch elf that will score twice, hopefully.
This is a really bloated team because if the runner was back, he'd be at 1320 rather. He'd be 1320 when the runner comes back, which also obviously is another reason why get rid of the linesman. Get rid of the linesman. Bolt plot, please. Get rid of the linesman. But we move on to the Nurgle team now because we've said all we can about that. There is, thank God, a skill on the Nurgle team, but as we mentioned, it's Claw. Innovation. That's a no-no from me.
He's a funny dude. I like him.
Yeah, no, like he seems like a very nice bloke.
Yeah.
And he's also seems to be doing quite well with a team in OC Seal. I think that's Chaos and Nurgle. I'm not sure. Can't remember. I definitely saw his name though in OCC.
He got a rotter as well.
He got a rotter. Yeah.
A rotter and a claw. That's what happened to his team.
So I'm just going to briefly explain why I hate Claw. Mighty Blow does more often than Claw against 9 armor teams, and this might be he might have like seen his opponent for next week and go, well, I think because it's 9 armor that I'll be facing next week, maybe Claw will do more. And against 9 armor, I think it does do a little bit more than Mighty Blow. But the thing is Claw is only for the armor, and Mighty Blow will apply if you naturally break, which obviously is kind of high rolling for like against 9 armor, fairly. You know, if it natural breaks, then it can definitely push those KOs into KAs and stuns into KOs. But also, the +1 to armor, bringing things down to armor 8, it just has like much more of a wide utility and does a bit more than Claw. Claw first doesn't really help you level up as much unless you're relying on high rolling on the KAs every time you break armor to then get the MVPs on, or the level ups, the SPP rather, on this piece. So in terms of like getting a killer piece leveled up, Mighty Blow usually is the better option. And especially if you have Mighty Blow against an 8 armor or a 7 armor team, the Mighty Blow will do more to either cause damage or break armor, especially 7 armor, because 7 armor doesn't care about Claw. This is a wasted pick if it's against 7 armor. 9 armor I can see why it is, but I think that Mighty Blow is still probably the better of the first pick.
I want to come in here as the guy who knows who he's facing, and he's facing Benny Boozles Pigs with 9 armor across the board as Orcs. And Benny and Innovation have a grudge.
Okay, so he wants to break armor as much as possible.
I believe as so. I believe that he's gonna come into that match and be like, Benny, I got Claw.
and it could work out. He could like gain the position fantastically off the back of being able to sneak a few stuns, and he's like, I don't care if I don't kill things. Like, armor breaking more often is probably a little bit better for me. I can understand that. But like that could also.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
He's better.
Yeah, it's just that what happens if it doesn't do enough against this matchup, and then you start facing elves for the next few matches. Mighty Blow would have been a bit better as a long-term pick.
I kind of watched in quickly on the schedule, and he was facing orcs, then rats, then he was facing. Where did he go? Elves. So he's basically picked up the Claw now for 1 game out of 3.
Yeah, so that kind of like I would say is precisely why I would have gone Mighty Blow first. So Innovation next time maybe. I would say, even if you're looking at like a high armor matchup for the next game immediately, Mighty Blow is just much better long term.
Yep.
And now we go on to our new rat coach. We have to welcome Zahu to the league. After his first match, he hasn't gotten any level ups, but you know he's got very standard 3 rerolls, 1 Apo, 4 gut runners, 2 vermin, 1 thrower. I like you, Zahu.
Yeah.
You've picked the right build.
Yeah, I didn't like our last rank coach, to be honest.
Not-
Since he actually just gave me a concede on my
Yeah.
screen match.
I'm sure he was a lovely bloke and all that, but we didn't like his team build and also that. Clearly. Yeah, but he played his game. He is 0-0.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to get a result against like a 2-guard, a 2-guard team and a tackle team and all that kind of stuff when you've got like nothing.
Yeah.
But for him to have like held out and managed to like keep it 0-0 with a bare bones team, you know, I hope that Zahu shows us his coaching caliber in the next few weeks.
Very much so.
Yeah,
He's up versus me next, so that's gonna be an interesting matchup.
definitely. Yeah,
And I actually will give him some advice that vanity passing on the storm vermin over to a gutter runner isn't that scary, I would say.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, you do. I would definitely say if you say are winning a game and you get to score a second touchdown to make it like a 2-0. Not saying that it's going to happen. Obviously, I have full faith in Dr. Hep here, but if it's like I can score with a gutter runner very easily, or I can make a 3+ with a reroll to score on a storm vermin probably more so because you need mighty blow on those and make them killers. You need to roll the dice and see if they get claw. You need that really badly. While the gut runners will like level up in a single game, be like good, and are good from the get go as well. While the storm vermin are good because of their stat line and they have block and they are like your workhorses of your team. But at the same time, they're not good until they get the skills and like the storm unless like the gut runners rather.
Yeah, exactly. Very
But-
much so.
But that brings us to the end of the looking over the teams. We go on to now game week 2 to see a brief. We won't spend too long on this because this video is getting long again. It's getting really long again.
Sorry for that, folks.
So we have the Rats against your team. So Prowl versus Skaven.
Yep.
We have Bretonians versus Orcs.
Yeah.
We have Humans versus Dark Elves. Nurgle versus Orcs. Fisher's game.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's gonna be a fun one.
Dark Elves versus Lizards.
Yeah, that's also gonna be a funny one, I believe.
The Necromantic versus the Humans, which actually, because the Humans are only 1080 and don't have any guard and all that,
Yep.
if Mego buys the Flesh Golem, he'll be about 120 or 30 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So you get a Babe. It's not like amazing for inducements, but I think you can compete with that.
Yeah, you
And
can compete with that.
and then
The human team is 1080, so
yeah, and then you have the High Elves versus the Undead.
yeah, exactly. Your memory is very good, mate.
Thank you. I was once
must
an
say
actor.
that I'm cheating and pulling back and forth over here. I'm so glad I'm not doing this stream.
Yeah, it's you know, I can pick up the memory stuff quite fast because you know, that's just one of my things. But if we go quickly over predictions, I think I'll start off my predictions.
Yeah, you do that.
My predictions, I think, will be I would say on strength of your team, it can go either way for Elves and Skaven, especially when he has a healthy Skaven team and you have a busted Elf team, but you have more skills. I would say
Be honest.
2-2 probably. It could be a high scoring game. Could be 2-2. Could be 3-3. I think it's gonna match each other. Because you're both gonna try and go for like fast scoring. You both can do that. It's not gonna be like a team that has to grind, and because of that, it can really just swing between the two. So I think 2-2 or 3-3 is definitely my pick.
I'm gonna come out on my shell and say, Sarah, if you wanna do a 5-5 game, I'm totally up for it.
Well, at the same time, no collusion. You have to try and win. But
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see this being one of those shootout games. Okay, for Bretts and Orcs. The Green Raiders. I'm gonna be a bit bold and say Brett's, because the Green Raiders are the ones that have the movement blitzer out. So I think they'll struggle to keep up the pace, and I think providing the mighty blow on the Orc team doesn't get too bad, doesn't rack up too much, I think that the Bretonnians have a little bit of they have some of the tools to deal with the Orcs, and I think they have a little bit more robustness to them.
I would agree that I believe that the Trojans will win this one, and actually not without not because of the robustness. I would say because of the pacing.
Yeah.
Because the Bretonnian team can actually pass around an Orc team if they set up correctly, and that can take Brazil very fast.
Yeah.
And off guard.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, fair enough. So I can definitely think I can imagine this being like a 2-1 or 2-0 or something like that.
2-1, 2-0.
When it comes down to Rich's T Hubies versus Harmor's Dark Elves, you have to say both teams have their guard, so it's not like the humans will be like winning the Bash War entirely. They have the strength advantage, and they have some mighty blows, so they definitely can remove pieces. But then again, we've seen Harmor's team, and he's got some really great development on his team. So
it's gonna be a fun match, that one.
yeah, I'm gonna watch out for that one. But my prediction for that is, I think, although T is fantastic and still one of the coaches who is tipped to go to playoffs, I think the Dark Elves, with just because of their edge, might do a little bit more. That's what I would say.
And I will promote T's stream, because I believe that he streams all his games.
Okay. Yeah, he does. I think he does, yeah.
So we can most likely watch that game through his stream.
Yeah. So this is either going to be, for me, a 2-1 for the Dark Elves, or if I'm going to... I think it can also end 2-2 or something like that. I think it's definitely one of those. It has the potential...
It's a potential for a 2-2, 2-1, 2-0 on any side for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the really lame one here and say that either one of these teams can win. And it all comes down to dice.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it can... If the humans drop the ball, for example, then Dark Elves have enough about them to scoop it up. So, but that's why I think the Dark Elves have a little bit of the edge. Going on to Nurgle versus Orcs, I'm going to be obviously just very boring and say Orcs will win like 1-0. Nurgle great stalling out, but I just don't think they have enough to them to face the Orc team.
I would say the same. I just really hope they just smash each other.
Yeah, both of them, please die.
I'm hoping on 2 deaths on either team and 1-0.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, for the next team, it's Dark Elves versus Lizards.
Yeah.
It's
a funny one.
I'm gonna give it to the Lizards. The problem is that the blitzers on this Dark Elf team, the Baltigor Ravens, I remember, are just not as good as the other Dark Elf team. I think that's going to really hurt them.
Yeah, and the lack of dodge means that Drazak can literally pick up whatever skill he wants and be like, yeah, face me. I got strength 4.
I mean, you have the Witch Shell, but that's it. Like, if the Witch Shell, if it has 7 armor, it goes down. Like, there is a world where Drazak picks a mighty blow for the block Saurus that leveled up and just goes hunting. And that it could look like very much like this first game week where the Baltigor Ravens took quite a few armor breaks.
Yep.
So I'm going to say probably 2-1. I do think the Dark Elves can score, but 2-1 probably. For the next one of Necromantic versus Humans, I'm going to be bold and say Necromantic. I think will probably, now there's no mighty blow apart from the troll. I think that the mighty blow Claw Wolf's time is now. He has the option to score and like do it quite fast with the block dodge werewolf, and Demon Llamas doesn't have a lot to, they don't have a lot to deal with that. Yes, the Demon Llamas also have the
Agile and the Ogre.
Yeah, they have that. They have some damage potential, and they have the potential to score quite a lot. So obviously there's like it's a game of margins where it can go either way. But I want to say 2-1 victory to the Necromantic team. I think not only are they due an insane game of the Wolves, but they can still kind of control the pitch even now they're a bit busted up, I think.
Okay, so I actually believe the other way around.
Okay.
I believe that the Wolves will bust some humans' asses. That is a fact, I believe.
Yeah.
But I believe the humans will pull out a win here under the rug of the Necro team, just based on the thrower and the catcher.
Fair enough.
And because I know how much damage one of those combos can make.
Yeah.
As an elf coach. As I agreed 2 turns, as we've seen before, every time I basically can.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, so
I know the potential of that one.
yeah, the edge advantage for the humans can do quite a lot, so I can see that. But I'm gonna be bold and say my prediction is 2-1 still to Necro. Also wishing Mega good vibes after that horrific game he played last week.
I really think so as well.
And for the final game, it's going to be the High Elves versus the Undead. I'd say High Elves win this 2-0. Because the High Elves have enough of a team that they're not going to be like, oh, we lose a player, that's horrible for us. They have a bench. They'll be fine. They can keep up with any removal potential that the Undead have. And the Undead are just really slow. With only 2 ghouls, and the ghouls don't have any wrestle or anything like that, not only will they be exposed when they actually are on offense, and the High Elves have the potential to punish them for that, but also on the defense, they don't have anything that can sack, say, the Adjup, Blodge, Blitzer. So I have to say I have a lot of confidence in the High Elves to pull out a quite solid victory. The only difference is there are inducements though for the 200k worth of inducements.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna be really. I'm seeing 2 ways for this. The realistic way, where the High Elves will win, and just pass around the Undead team.
Yep.
And win. Or the funny part that I want to see is that the Undead team's Mighty Blow mummies just trigger and will murder that High Elf team.
It can happen. It can happen. It is Blood Bowl.
I mean, it is Blood Bowl, and they do have a tackle on one of the whites. So
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
it could happen. It could be a 1-win. It could be a 2-1 to the team. But my realistic expectation says that the High Elf team will win.
Yeah, I mean the tackle there first skill is kind of huge, because it is like the team doesn't have much to deal with the High Elves, and the tackle they have is going to be definitely a factor. And if you can isolate the tackle, a massive boon for the High Elves. But also the tackle is just a little bit slow. So there is the world where he manages to, with his blitzers, outrange it or protect it just enough so the white doesn't do much, which is why I think the potential's there. Yeah.
I totally see what standpoint you're coming from.
But that is the week ahead, and that's also the recap. There's not much else we can say. This thing's this is an hour long again. Yeah. Whoops. We're gonna try and shorten it down. We promise. We're probably gonna have to just be very much blitzing through a lot of these games and blitzing through a lot of these and not giving an in depth in the future, for our sakes and probably for your sakes.
Probably pick a few games on each side and then just be like, yeah, these 4 games are the interesting ones, and these we can't really care that much about. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But obviously, you guys obviously who we're recapping for, give us feedback on that. If you want to see them just cut down to what we want to be, half an hour, punchy to the point, let us know. But for now, to save anyone else any more time, we're gonna say goodbye to all of you.
Yep, and good luck.
Yep, good luck for the week ahead. Can't wait to see what happens in the next game week. See you guys.
See ya.